Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by Quentin West. Quentin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Seth.
Our pleasure. So you are up to some really cool things in the world. Tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, so basically we run an Airbnb business, but we do things a little bit differently. So instead of buying the properties, we rent properties and then sublease them on Airbnb. So we don't have to have 20% down. We don't need good credit. We don't need any of that typical stuff that you need to get into this industry.
Okay, so if I heard you correct, if I understood what you said, you are renting properties and then re-renting them out on Airbnb. Did I get that right?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's awesome. Let's go back in time for just a minute. How did you get started?
Yeah, so funny story. I never intended on being an Airbnb investor. I had a house that I lived in and I was in between jobs and I couldn't afford my house payment. And one day I met with a friend to just get some coffee and talk things over. Didn't have a real agenda, was just wanting to hang out with a friend. And he talked about a house that he inherited and he had put it on Airbnb and it was making great money. And it was right down the street from my house. And I thought in my head, well, if this guy can make that amount of money on this property, then I'll just move back in with mom and dad, put my place up on Airbnb, and then hopefully I can make my house payment this month. And the first month I didn't just make my house payment, I profited $1,000. The second month I profited $1,500. And at the time I was only making $2-3 grand a month at my full-time job. So this was like, I thought I was rich. And so I started looking for ways to try to buy other homes. I didn't know about arbitrage yet. And so I was looking into subject to buying houses with no money down, all this creative stuff that can be kind of overwhelming if you look at it from a non-investor point of view. And then somebody was talking about arbitrage online. I was like, what is this arbitrage thing? So I dug deeper into it. I figured out what they were doing. I went straight to Zillow, started contacting owners that were leasing properties very similar to mine. And within 7 days, I signed my first lease.
Okay, so out of desperation, you rented out your home on Airbnb and were cash flow positive right away and kept doing it. And then obviously decided, hey, I want to do more of this. I got to ask, what area of the country do you live in?
I'm in North Carolina.
Okay. So obviously a popular enough place that you could rent out for more than your mortgage and have a significant positive cash flow.
Yes, but I'm not in a vacation rental market like you might be thinking. I'm in a smaller market. Most of our clients are like victims of fire and flood if they have a house fire or something like that and need a place to stay temporarily. Weddings, we have a lot of corporate travelers, so not many people for vacation.
Okay, so that helps. And obviously make it more anyone could do this type of thing as opposed to living in Maui or something. So is there enough activity to sustain at least that property like year round, or is it seasonal?
No, so we have maybe 2 or 3 slow months throughout the year, but we still make money during those months. The most or the least that we ever make on any of these properties is maybe $600 or $800 a month in profit. So year round, we're pretty consistent. And there is enough demand where, I mean, we have 35 units in the same general area. So there's plenty of opportunity to keep growing, and even into other cities and states.
Okay, so I was then going to ask how much have you expanded in the same geographic location? And so 35 rentals in the same geographic area, is that correct?
Yes, and then we have 4 more that are spread out across the state.
Have you been to all 39 places?
Yes, I have. Not frequently, but I've been there at least once to all the properties.
And how are you marketing those to get tenants on Airbnb? How are you finding the properties? And then obviously there's got to be some, like, it's got to be cleaned every time someone comes in and goes out, and you might have to change the code on the door. I mean, how does all that stuff work?
Yeah, so I have a team of 11 people right now, 8 cleaners. We have a full-time maintenance crew, executive assistant, virtual assistants, and all those people pretty much handle the day-to-day. I only handle the pricing strategy and structure, and then negotiate leases, things like that. Um, I mean, my workload is 5 minutes to an hour a day. My team handles the rest, and that allows me to continue building in other areas as well. Now I coach people all over the world to how to do the same thing, and then we're still expanding as well.
All right, so we'll get to that in just a second. This is fascinating. So you before you were at 39, when you were at property number 1, property number 2, I'm assuming you didn't have a team then, and you were the one going and cleaning it out before the next person came over. Is that accurate?
So I cleaned myself probably the first 3 or 4 turnovers, and then I decided that that was not for me. And so that's when I started hiring out local companies at first. And then around 25 units is when I started hiring my own in-house cleaners, and avoiding that upcharge of like $50 to $70 per cleaning.
So that answers the question and opens another one. Are there now like cleaning companies and maintenance companies that have now popped up as a separate cottage industry to help Airbnb owners? Or were you literally going to Mary Maids or something and hiring people one at a time? And then they said, oh, this guy's going to need me this isn't a once a month thing. This is every week, every couple days. I could make a lot more money.
Yeah, exactly. So we did hire a lot of companies like Mary Maids and other companies in the area, but we just found that when it came to our reviews, they suffered a lot because they were not willing to train their people based off of our requirements. And that's why we started doing things in house, because we were having to pay inspectors, or I was having to go inspect the homes myself to make sure that the quality was there. When instead we can just take everything in house, train them exactly how we want them to clean the property, where they follow a strategic checklist to make sure they don't miss anything. And then our reviews instantly boosted up. We made more money, and our business continued to scale.
All right. So that segues into the next question, which is, as you started needing more and more help, how did you create and build the systems to manage those processes?
So I hired mentors. I mean, that was the way I learned pretty much everything other than the basic concepts around the model. But hiring a mentor taught me everything. I mean, it helped me double my business in 6 to 12 months. Where I had 25 units, and I was working 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. I was doing everything myself, all the maintenance, the repairs, communicating with the guests. I was doing it all. I had no employees at that time except for my cleaning company. And then within a week, I hired 3 people, my assistant, a maintenance crew, 2 guys for maintenance so that they could handle all the trash pickup and repairs and all that kind of stuff. And it took my workload down to 2-3 hours a day overnight. I mean, it was the greatest thing I ever did.
That sounds absolutely incredible. At what point, when did the light bulb go off and that you decided to start sharing how you were doing what you were doing with other people?
So at first it started slowly. Just in conversation with friends, and people start talking when they hear that you're doing something big. And people started reaching out, wanting to get coffee, to get lunch. to pick my brain.
I hear
And
that every day.
then after a while, I was like, dang, I'm doing 10 meetings a week to get my brain picked for free. I'm just going to start charging for this. And so, we started at a basically dumb level price, had some success, got some great testimonials. We increased price over time. And now we have, students all over the place. I just kind of fell into it, really. People reached out to me at first, and now we do our own outreach.
That's absolutely incredible. How many students, if you don't mind me asking, and you don't have to answer, but ballpark, how many students have you helped start implementing your strategies?
I would say probably around 150 at this point.
Wow. And tell me a little bit about what that mentorship or coaching program or course, what does that look like?
Yeah. So everything is specific to the client, because we have some people that come in with properties already. Like I just got off a call with a client that has 20 properties. And they're in, I want to say Barcelona. And so we're helping them. No matter your location, you're using the same platform. As their listings increase their search engine optimization, their traffic, all that kind of stuff, it equals to more money in their pocket. And so we're doing the same thing with people all over.
That is absolutely incredible. You now have a whole second business. And with all the success you've achieved, what's your biggest challenge now?
The biggest challenge is just things that break. As you continue to grow, start work before at 10 units don't work at 20 units. And so it's always learning a new system, figuring out where the weakest link is and repairing that, delegating things. So we have a full library of things that I've delegated, where I've taken a video of myself teaching future people. Even if I haven't delegated it yet, I'll record myself doing that process, so that when I do hire somebody, I can say, here's the video. This is exactly how you input a new listing. That way it's an easy process, and I'm not having to jump on a call every single day to go over the same process that I did the day before.
I love that you've learned the lesson of build the system, record it as you do it so that others can do it too, and you're not stuck doing it yourself forever. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
The best thing about it, honestly, is just helping people get out of bad situations. I mean, we've retired 2 or 3 people. The one that comes off of my mind first is Carter. He's a 23-year-old guy. He was working construction. We met at an event. He had been trying to get into the Airbnb business for 8 months. And then he joined our program. And within 2 weeks, he had 2 properties. Within 4 months, he had 4 properties. Now he's full-time. He's making $4,500 a month in profit on Airbnb within 4 months. And now he can do what he loves. He can travel. He has way more freedom than working a 9-to-5 in construction. And he's so much happier because of it. So that's really the most fulfilling part of it.
That is fascinating. We know your time is incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us. For our folks who are watching and listening and want to learn more about all things Quentin West and how they can get started in the Airbnb business, where is the best place for us to send them?
Yeah, send them to my Instagram. It's Q Deals Homes. My name's William West on Instagram. Just shoot me a message saying, hey, I heard you talking to Seth on the podcast. Would love to, learn more about how I can get involved.
Awesome. Well, this is Seth Greene from Sharkpreneur here with Quentin West from Q Deals Homes on Instagram. Quentin, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks so much, Seth.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.